I'm currently puzzled by two things. One is that whenever my mother gave birth, it was approximately a year after she came back from abroad. The second is that although the conception was not apparently abroad, the conception never took place in the same place as the birth. For example, if I took my own birth at face value, my parents returned from Australia in 1953, apparently. They then lived in Gillingham, Kent. Now, I had always been told, well, I hadn't been told I was conceived in Gillingham, Kent. I simply worked it out from the dates and receipts in Gillingham and so on and so forth. My belief all my life was that I was conceived in Gillingham and born in Whitley Bay, Gillingham being in Kent and Whitley Bay being in Northumberland, what it was then. So a year after returning from abroad, conception in one place in England, birth in another place in England. Actually, this seems to have happened 3 times. I am including Albert, although to be fair, he would be actually the slight exception to that. I conceived abroad and born in Windsor. And died in Windsor, so no question of transport to anywhere else. Come then the thorny question of my brother. If I were to ignore Albert, and I can't. Okay, so my brother was born a year after my parents returned from abroad. Apparently conceived in Coventry. Apparently born in Harrogate. There does seem to be a little bit of a pattern there. And if I ignore the fact that my mother never conceived anywhere, well, as far as I know, she never conceived when she had not been abroad the previous year. And she never gave birth in the place where she conceived. Okay. It does look as if there's something to hide, to me. You conceive and you move and you give birth. Why? Well, sure, if people knew you were shacking up with a guy. But then, what difference if they know you're shacking up with a guy? You're living in sin anyway, in the eyes of people in those days. Of course, if you weren't actually living with a man and you got pregnant, you might want to move out of that area. But how many times are you going to make that mistake? And according to my brother, they were all living in the same household in Gillingham, sharing a bedroom. And then, this is my 4th attempt today on this one. And I've said it a lot of times before. Enid, my father's wife, also conceived when my father returned from Australia, although she'd been living with another man for 5 years at that point, and taken his name 4 years earlier. I do keep coming back to this one. Lots of funny business. And it's pretty damned obvious that although my father claimed that Karen was not his, he didn't go to any great trouble to dispute paternity, and no trouble at all to get a divorce. He didn't try to get a divorce. Although he had said that his mother knew where Enid was, how else was his mother supposed to have known that Karen had crashed? And that is what he told me. He did not say to his mother, "Oh, good, can I have my wife's dress, please? And then I can divorce her." But since she was at the same address for 75 years, I think a man of his intelligence would just go and knock on his own front door. He didn't want to divorce Enid, whether or not she was living with another man. Of course, by 1953 she had divorced him. She did it in 1952. Still, it looks to me as if he looked up his wife the minute he got back from Australia, or now ex-wife, and, rekindled the romance. But how did my mother, who was so averse to sex at all, become pregnant at the same time? How was this achieved? Especially as, unless there have been further omissions, which I strongly suspect, in the years they were in Australia, my mother did not, on record, conceive. Well, there may be on Australian records, I would not know, would I? I don't know if Ancestry Live goes that far now. So then, Colin and I are born apparently 44 days apart. Apparently, on paper. Colin the day before my mother's birthday, but this is Enid's child, right? I think. And myself, if I believed the dates at all, 2 days after Thomas Williams' birthday. Thomas William being Enid's new lover. Anyone who's been watching these at all will know that I'm fascinated by dates and I remember them. And I have touched on the point that for some reason or another, family birthdays are often close together. So an almost logical conclusion for me would have been that, I still actually think it's more than likely that Colin and I were swapped. How? I know not. Whether or not I was born in a maternity hospital, Colin's birth in a maternity hospital is recorded along with the name of it. I have speculated about the fact that fraternal twins conceived from two different eggs, can be fathered by two different men. I.e., in this case, Thomas, Enid's husband, well, her lover, and my father, my mother's lover seems the wrong word, partner, something. What I'm actually speculating about is what I speculated about before. Women impregnated at the same time and babies swapped. And of course, as I say, in order to find Enid, my father only had to go and knock on the door of his marital home. But he did say, when I asked him, on the same drive, on which he told me that he didn't know Enid's whereabouts and could not divorce her, That was the same drive. He told me that his mother had told him of Karen's death because his mother had kept in touch with Enid. Over and over and over. I have to conclude the truth is, my father, at the very least, knew where Enid was all along. And when he went to London, I must produce the photographs he wrote on the back of. They were photographs of my brother and I taken at Christmas of 1960. He'd pencilled one address, Sandy Combe Road, Twickenham, and another 4A Witten Road, Twickenham. The landlady at one was Mrs. Dixon. I think reminds me of something I just read about the Cray twins. I'm wondering more and more about the Cray twins and the Croydon connection. My father's initial plan when he went back to London was to be in Twickenham, very, very close to Enid.